Welcome to the Golf Fitness Bomb Squad. I'm your host, Chris Finn, and today we are streaming live with a very special guest, near and dear to my heart, from the very early days of P4S Golf, which back in the day was known as Par for Success. Riley Smyth is with us today, who I have known since, I guess, 2016, 2017. She plays on the Epson Tour. Graduated from University of Virginia, and she just had her first professional victory at the Central Florida Championship on the Epson Tour. First event, I believe, of the year. Wanted to welcome you on, Riley.
Thanks for having me on, Chris. Yeah, first event of the year. Super exciting to get season kicked off that way. You know, known Chris for a long time now, and it's been great. He's gotten me through a lot of injuries over the
Had some good
years.
times together.
Yeah.
But we were talking before we went live and started recording. We can obviously get into the backstory, the journey, and everything to get to this point. But you gotta talk us through, like, I guess we'll fast forward to the 16th hole. You said you had no idea you were in the lead the final round, or you were no idea like where you were on the leaderboard whatsoever.
Mhm.
Final round, you come up 16. Like, take us through those final three holes.
Yeah. So I knew I was playing well, but there was a lot of good players up at the top of the leaderboard going into the final round, and the conditions were super scoreable. So I knew anything could happen, and I just first event of the year wanted to put together a solid final round, having been one shot back going in. That was what was most important to me at that point. So just made a really good sand save on 15 um, for par, and then came into 16. Saw the leaderboard, kind of didn't take a great look at it because I again at that point just wanted to put together solid couple holes to finish it off. And whatever happened was going to happen. But put it to like 20 feet on 16, drained it for birdie. So I knew obviously it was going to be in a good position and had a
Talk
really
to me about
good,
that putt. Like, 20 feet. I mean, you got some
yeah,
time right before it
yeah.
goes to the hole. Like, did you know it was good from this moment you hit it? Like,
Pretty much. So it was not too good, two decent shots to get me up there. I mean, off the tee, it's this dogleg right, wide open on the right side. And all 3 days I just blocked it super far right, but I knew it was perfectly fine. And it actually was a great angle to a pin tucked on the left side. Um, but then kind of pulled my wedge a little bit. Thought it wasn't going to catch the green. Thought it was going to kick off, so kind of got lucky that it held on to the fringe. But yeah, and then the putt, I knew it was good. It was We really thought we got the read right. So I knew I hit it exactly where I wanted to. That it was a matter of just whether or not the break was going to do what it was supposed to.
yeah, and you match the speed to it and everything. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
All right, so you knew
Um,
that. So,
mhm. Yeah.
okay, then we're moving on.
Yeah. And then 17, another par three, and put it in the bunker. Put it to like 8 feet, drain the pot. So I'm like, okay, great. Another really good sand save, and 18's a great birdie opportunity. It's par five. They were playing it up all week at 460, um, and
And
both days I had.
we gotta say, for everybody listening, Riley is quite long off the tee. So I think you were probably one of the first girls I ever saw, and I'm saying girl because you were like a teenager, right? Like she's one of the longest women now, but like as a girl, she was longer than the women, swinging 100 miles an hour plus, like since you were in high school.
Mhm.
So 460 is like, I mean, it might as well just be a par four for you. But I want to, before you get to 18, I'm curious, the par putt on 17 versus the
Mhm.
birdie putt on 16. did you get more jacked up about one or the other? Did you stay pretty even keel? Like, what was your kind of?
Little bit more jacked up about the one on 17, just because at that point I had two bogeys in the first round, played bogey free second round, and the third round I had only had one bogey. And so it was also kind of one of those where, for me, that's very, very atypical to have that few bogeys in a tournament. So I was definitely more psyched about that. Um, but yeah, no. So I go up to 18T and it's a slight dog leg left off the tee, and water up all up the right side. Some trees in my landing spot on the right side, and the first and second round I had just blasted it right into the trees and had to punch out.
Oh no.
So I was like, today's the day. I gotta hit my draw right into the fairway. Like I gotta hit this fairway at least one time. And I striped it. Get up there, have 160 in, um, take a nice full 9 iron up to the middle of the green. I'm like, just put it on. Doesn't matter where, just put it on and we'll deal with it. And then get up and I have about a 17-footer for eagle. And at that point, that's when I saw that I was tied. Um, and so I'm like, okay, I know that she's still got to play 18 because she's in the group behind me, but like wanted to make the putt, but just wanted to give myself a tap in, at the very least, get into a playoff, and then just kind of trust myself to be able to get it done from there.
That's amazing. So, um, I guess last year you had a great year on tour. Obviously, I think was it like 8 points or something that you. It was like you just missed like at the end of the year by like I don't even know what was it.
I So the year before, I had missed getting full status by by $63. And
63.
then last year, yeah, and then last year only played in 10 of the 19 events, because my status wasn't great to start, but then ended up having four top tens and ended up 42nd on points for the year.
For sure. So I bring those up because I remember the 63. I
Mhm.
remember like talking to your dad
Yeah.
afterwards and all of that. Like people a lot of the times I think they see the win and they don't realize all the stuff that happened before and prepared you for that. And obviously, having known you for so long, I've seen a lot of the grind and the two
Mhm.
hip surgery rehabs and like all that stuff that you've gone through. Um, when you're playing the 18th hole, you've put it in the woods twice. Like, what sort of like did all of those experiences you feel like just kind of led to that point where you were able to handle it? Was how does that kind of relate?
I think to some aspect where, I think part of it to start the year this year is I'm just really happy that I get to play the full season. Um, Last year I played really well and only got into half the event, so didn't really have the opportunity to chase top 10. Versus this year having full status, I'm like, okay, I have 20 opportunities this year. I have a full season to be able to chase top 10, really chase my LPGA Tour card for next year. So I think there's definitely just a lot of gratitude for everything that I went through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in that of then just being able to know how lucky I am to get a start at the beginning of the season. And so it does take a little bit of pressure off in those situations, um, as well as I caddied a lot last year for a couple of my friends, and so they got into positions where they were on the cut line, or I caddied at Q school, and pressure's the pressure is so high there, or we got into contention a couple times, and so having those experiences in many different forms definitely definitely puts it into perspective, and I know that I can handle the situation.
Yeah, I mean, and you clearly did. Um, so 17 feet. What do you do?
Mhm.
Do you make it? Do you tap it in?
I
Does
I
it come
tap it
off?
in. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I just leave it, 6 inches above the hole. We thought it was going to break more than it did. It just stopped turning.
Yeah.
Uh, but I had a nice easy tap in, put it into a playoff. We ended up going back to play 18 3 times, sudden death playoff. And first playoff hole, we both missed the green in two. She puts it tight. I put it to 12 feet. Um, I drain the putt for birdie. She taps in for birdie. We go back. Um, she's got a punch out of the trees off her tee shot. I just missed the green in two. I chip on to 18 feet. She stuffs her wedge shot. So again, I have to make this putt.
Yeah.
Drain it again.
That's a,
We go back. And then she's got a chip out from the bunker. Um, I just missed the green again, hit a good chip to about 6 feet. She puts her wedge to 25 feet, puts it up to about 3.5 feet above the hole. I'm 6 feet above the hole, put it, about 3 feet by. At that point, I wasn't leaving that putt short. I knew I had that was for the win, so it was not being lagged up there. But then I got to go first with the 3 footer I had uphill. I drained it, and you know I really thought we were going to a fourth playoff hole at that point. She had been playing really solid. She had been putting really well, so I'm like, we're going to another one. I fully accepted it, and she just missed it, and then that just solidified it right there.
that was it. That's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, the mental toughness. I always tell this story. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. But when I in the early, this is like I said, been doing this shoot almost 15 years, and I always, there's been obviously been a ton of good players that have come through, and I'm always, the longer I've done it, I've become very aware. The best athletes oftentimes aren't the ones that make it, to winning and having success. A lot of it comes down to between the years, and I think so. One of the tests, I don't know if you remember this, early on, is I'd put a stack of sled on one end with heavy weights, and the other one would have like one plate or nothing, and it was
Mhm.
basically like, hey, push it down, and then light one, come back. And you're one of the, I believe, three people who I had to tell to stop, because I don't tell you like how many do it. I'm like, just go.
Yeah.
And there's been so many men and women who will just like they're just like, I'm done. I'm gonna puke. I don't feel good. Whatever. But the number, it is every single person that I've had to tell to stop doing it because they're either pushing from bloodied knees or it's like,
Mhm.
all right, like you're good. Like I know you're not stopping on your own volition. Though every single one of them has made it
Mhm.
in some way, shape, or form. You were actually the last one that needed to fully solidify that quote unquote test for me. So who knows? I don't know if it's going to happen or not. But it just for me was always telling of how tough somebody was between the years, and you've
Mhm.
obviously had the speed for so long that you're always one of the longest people out there. And um, I was just love. Obviously, I belong to the same club. Your dad does. Whenever we go play, I'd always love. Do you see how far that Smyth girl hits the ball? She hits it past me. um, so what's it been like? Since the win, obviously, because that now you win. That does that automatically get you to the final? What
So
happens now for you,
yeah,
basically? Yeah.
yeah. So basically, I mean, we have 17 more events
Mm-hmm.
left. We played two more in Florida, back to back weeks after. So, I won, but had to go right back and play again the next week. So I'd say, that's definitely the hardest cut to go make is right after a win. Your game's feeling good, but there's so much that you are, dealing with emotionally in the next couple days after winning. I had so many texts to go through, so many messages, and it was finally by the time the first round rolled around, I'm like, oh, I got to go play again.
Yeah, what was the
uh,
hardest part about that immediate post? Was it like dealing with the texts? Were there media requests? I mean, what sort of stuff did you have to deal with?
yeah, so definitely some media, a lot of messages to go through where I, kind of felt like I would start to get through them and then I would just get a whole nother slew of them. Where, part of it was okay, this is awesome, and I really appreciate hearing from everyone and all the support. But it's in some aspect, I was like, I need to go practice still. Like, yeah, I played great last week, but this course that we're playing this week, the conditions are brutally hard. That I got to go practice. Like, I need to just turn off my phone and put it away. Um, but yeah, so that it was definitely, and especially having a three-hole playoff, I was exhausted because I mean, the adrenaline level was so high for so long that by the time and then I had to drive up to Jacksonville that night. And so by the time I got done with my drive, I just crashed because there was nothing left in my body.
So then what? So then the rest of the year, like talk to Stacks. I think
Mhm,
a lot of people listening, they don't understand status and the grind. And
mhm.
I mean, honestly, half the players still struggle to understand what
Yes,
the
yeah.
statuses are. So what does that win do for you, and then what
Mhm,
does the rest of the season
yeah.
look like?
So the win gives me 500 points. And so at the end of the season, the top 15 on the points list get LPGA Tour cards. Top 10 is better because it is full LPGA status. 11 to 15 is conditional, and you can go improve it at final stage of Q school. So really, the goal at the end of the day is to be top 10. Even though they are giving out those additional five cards. Um, and so last year, I think it was about 1,100, 1,200 points, something like that, that got you into top 10, and about 900 to 1,000 that got you into top 15. So definitely puts getting those 500 points from a win this early in the year puts me in a really good position to be able to go get my card. Where it's a really big head start, and then it's just stringing together a lot of good events from here for the rest of the season. But either way, I'm gonna have like I don't want to be back on Epson next year, but I would have full status at this point because top 80 retain their
Mm-hmm.
full status. And last year, top 80 was probably about 300 points, maybe
Okay.
something around there. So it's at least comforting knowing that I don't have to go back to stage one of Q school. More than likely, I won't have to go to stage two because top 35 gets you into stage three, and that was the cutoff for that was about 550 last year. Which through three events I'm at 529. Um, so that it definitely puts me in a really good position to be like, okay, I have the comfort of knowing I'm putting myself in a really, really good position to get my card for next year.
For sure. And I guess my last question for you, we got to talk a little bit fitness. I got some interesting stats from when you were younger that I'm curious. We'll play a little guessing game, see if you can
Mhm,
guess where you were. But what is like just for context for everyone listening, like if you make a cut and finish
mhm,
dead last post like after the cut, like how many
mhm.
points is that? And like just like
So that would be probably, I think it's about 2 or 3 points.
okay,
So top five, it goes like 500, 320, 230, um, like 150, and then maybe like about 110, 120, like anywhere from 100 to 120. But a lot of times that gets split up a lot because of ties. So it's the same as with payout for purse, that whatever however many places are tied, they take those that combined total of points and divide it by how many are tied. So you really get screwed a lot of times if you finish T6. That's a good amount of points, but there's 7 people tied for 6.
So you get like ninth place points kind of.
Exactly. So that's where there's a very big drop off um, once you get past top 10. That's when you start seeing it where it's like, okay, it's going to be hard to make big jumps after top 10.
So what just in your experience, what's the biggest difference from finishing top 10 versus just making a cut?
I think a big part of it is mentality of trying to chase the win every week. That I think there are a lot of people that are worried about making cuts. And I was in that category for a while, especially my rookie year, because if you don't make a cut, you don't get paid. And so everybody, a lot of people sit there and they're like, oh, well, I'm really stressed about the cut. My game's not where I want it to be. Um, I'm really worried about whether I'm making the cut or not this week. And typically, a lot, I mean, there are exceptions, but a lot of the time when you have that mentality, you're going to be sitting near the cut line every week. Just because that's where your eyes are when you're looking at a leaderboard versus if you're looking if you're chasing the win, your eyes are always chasing the top of the leaderboard. And so you're seeing, oh, well, the cut's at +2, but the leader's at -8. Well, if I'm shooting for -8, even if my game doesn't feel as sharp, I might be falling in that -4, -3 category. Um, and I mean, I think it's also just keeping balls in play. Keeping balls in play, giving yourself a lot of birdie looks, because all the players are out here are good enough to be able to convert them a good chunk of the time, that it's just okay, how many times can I give myself a good birdie look? And for me,
You'll make more. Yeah.
exactly. And like for me, that biggest focus is how many birdie looks can I give myself on par fives? If I can play the par fives -7 or better for the week, I'm going to be up there.
Yeah. Well, that's where length comes in. So that's a great segue into speed. And I think one of the interesting things we've seen, particularly in the women's side of the sport, has been, I think there's a lot of talk on the men's side, particularly, anyone listening who's over the age of 50, that mobility is a problem.
Hmm.
For most women, mobility is not generally the problem.
Yeah.
You obviously had some hip mobility things that we had to address early on, but the strength side of it tends to be like the big. I always call it kind of like the Kevlar armor for women in terms of keeping
Hmm.
them healthy so they don't get hurt, but also allowing them to swing faster. Um, so I think it's cool. I'd be curious to see if at this point, obviously you've always been also big into weightlifting,
Hmm.
squatting, deadlifting, bench pressing.
Yep.
And so I thought it'd be fun to if you could guess where you're. So if we say like what your current bench press, do you know where you're at this point?
145.
Okay. Do you have any guesses what your max was when you were? This is back in 20. Hang on, I have the exact date.
Yeah, I might need the date. That's
So October
in,
16th, 2017.
okay, so that
So
was
this
that
is
was at
a
full
while ago.
recovery.
Yeah.
Um, bench would have been, I think, right around the 120 mark.
95.
Really?
Yeah, 95 pounds. Then we go. All right, so let's go 0 for 1. You were
Okay.
we could do this like closest without going over style. But so let's go deadlift. Any guesses?
It's gonna be under.
What is it now? What are you at now?
It's at 270 now.
Yeah. So
I didn't reach
for all you men listening right now, what is it?
270.
270. Okay. Just want to make sure they heard that.
I didn't reach 225 until college. So it's probably 185.
135.
That still had to be on the back end of recovery then.
Yeah, I mean we're coming out of
Yeah.
the recovery, so
Yeah.
you got actually here. So your best was 135 for 6, which would have an estimated 157.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say 135 max doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, you were 157 for 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
you're still doing higher reps there. You
Yeah.
crossed the 200 mark in June of 2020. You were over 200. Don't worry, I have your. I'm looking at our data sheet, so I just have it, by your last name. Your mom is
Yeah.
right above you. You crushed her. You lifted her, so that's good. All right, what about squat?
So right now it's front squat only at 170.
Yep.
Um,
So we have your front squat numbers here from.
that's front squat, okay.
So I got front squat from November of 19.
November of 19. That would have been pretty full recovery, but that's back um that was coming back from college freshman year. It's 170 now. 145 max.
109. So I think this is fun for me just to see your face, but I think it's really cool for hopefully I want to make a point for everyone listening. Like this is such a long process to get stronger that you have gone
Hmm.
through, and um, I think people don't realize how strong a lot of the women are on tour and how fast they
Hmm.
swing and what you're capable of. And I actually just making this point on another platform that to swing the club 100, you're between what 105, 110 generally course wise at this point. Even
It's
faster.
like 108 to 108 on the range, so probably sitting at like 110, 112 on the course.
112. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to pump you up, I guess. Say low so you could tell me I don't want to put you there. But, I think that's to swing 110 miles an hour, whether it's you or a guy on tour or
Hmm.
somebody on the senior, or a 65-year-old person listening right now. The raw, like physical capability or the absolute amount of force that needs to be produced is exactly the same. And so having those strength numbers, having that ability to produce that force is so important. And particularly for you with your, the history of the hips and those sorts of
Hmm.
things that you had when you were younger, which I know it was a lot of fun for you. But if I guess the kind of the last piece I wanted to get into is obviously you're traveling now full season. You got a lot
Hmm.
of events. How are you staying in shape and kind of taking care of your body on tour while you're on the road in different places and all over
Yeah.
the place?
Well, so I think the biggest perk is the fact that we do have PTs available for us every week.
Yep. And Alex
That
are you with Alex or did he go up PGA?
No, Alex is LPGA.
Alex
He will be out at one event this year for us though.
Okay, so you'll see him next year then.
Hmm.
How
But yeah,
many more
so
events? And then when do they just put you on the LPGA? How many more events you got to win?
we actually don't have the battlefield promotion like Corn Ferry does with PGA.
That needs to change. That 100% needs to
Yeah.
change.
But yeah, so fortunately we have PTs every week. 15-minute appointments, so can be a little short if you have a lot of issues going on, um but it's I'll go in a couple times a week just to make sure that everything is staying in check. and fortunately learned a lot from Chris, that I know exactly what to tell him every week. Um,
Those PTs are so lucky to have you walk in because you're like, hey, I need you to check my left iliacus, my right right
yep.
tibialis, like, right. But I think that's too. I think that's an important point for people to realize. Like, one of the greatest gifts that you can get is understanding how your body works and to kind of be
Hmm.
your own mechanic. And I think
Yeah.
that's going to be a huge part of your success long term in your career.
Yeah. Where there's the occasional thing that does throw me for a loop, and I'm like, what's going on? But
I haven't gotten one of those texts in a while.
I I actually did throw out my back the week after Christmas. Took a solid 6 weeks to get better, and it was everything was a mess. Almost herniated a disc. It was quite bad. But um, but so fortunately, yeah. So we have PTs that I get to go in every week, and they are able to do everything. So most of the time, I'll go in and get needled, because I know that's the most effective for me. And for a 15-minute appointment, it is the most time effective method that they can use, um, especially to get the greatest benefit from walking out and immediately feeling better. So that's a big part of it. And then they also will set us up with a local gym every week. And that really helps from being able to go in to a solid gym that isn't just hotel with a couple dumbbells and a treadmill, and be able to get in my workouts that I need to get done, because that's at the end of the day, like Chris said, the biggest injury prevention method that I can use. The stronger my body is, the less likely I'm going to get injured because I am so mobile, especially in my back and shoulders. That the
Some of
more
those
the more
videos
strength
Robert
I
would send
have.
me.
Yeah.
Some of those videos Robert would send me of your calf
Yeah.
would be like it was
Oh,
almost
it hasn't
exorcist
changed.
like how much
Yeah.
you could turn was wild.
Yeah. It hasn't changed at all.
So what?
It just
So
hurt. It just hurts a little more
it
getting
just
there
hurts a little more.
now.
You're getting old now. What?
Yeah.
So like, how often are you going to the gym? Do you have like? Do you typically travel on Mondays, work out specific days of the week? Do you? How do you typically work it?
So part of it depends on pro am, which pro am I'm in, because we have two pro ams every week, Wednesday and Thursday. So it depends on which one I get placed, and it's random. So that's a big determiner. And then my tea times Friday, Saturday also will determine which day I go. But I try to get in 3 days a week, every week that we're on the road. If I'm flying, it won't be Monday. Typically, if I'm driving, I'll try to get, and it's not too long of a drive, I'll try to get in something Monday, just to try to get the body a little bit looser. But flying usually just ends up taking up the whole day, and then I still have to get in the car and drive, 2 hours after I land in an airport.
You
Um,
guys don't generally. They don't put you in the big like convenient
no,
sort of major airport
no,
areas.
not at all. But yeah, so then Tuesday's usually the first day of the week. And then if I'm in the Pro Am Thursday, it'll be Wednesday. If I'm in the Pro Am Wednesday and I'm in the afternoon on Friday, it'll be on Thursday. And then after whichever day I have a morning round. Um, just because I know that that's going to be the most time effective, where, okay, I have a morning tea time, I'm done earlier, and then I don't tee off until late, so I have a ton of time to kill.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. That's super helpful because I think a lot of people don't understand like life on tour,
Hmm.
and
No.
how you get the workouts in, and like how tough it is, and those
Yeah.
sorts of things. But obviously, I want to respect your time here. I know you probably got to go practice. So I want to thank you so much for coming on, Riley. It's been as a from like a personal side, it's been so fun to watch you grow up and finally get that first win. That it's kind of, I think as you do this for a while, you see a lot of kids come in and you're like, oh, they could be really good,
Hmm.
but most of them never pan out. And it's always been so. There's been probably only two or three that when someone will ask me, they'll be like, because you know how it is at the clubs, right?
Hmm.
Hey, how is she good? Like, she's great. A lot of times you'll be like, oh yeah, they're good. But in your mind, you're like, yeah, no way they make it. They're so good. But whenever they would say it about you, and I'd be like, oh yeah, yep, she'll be on tour. Yep, she's got it. She's got that different, right? And it's that between the years. And I think hopefully for everybody listening, like just listening to Riley's story about the physical side, but also hopefully you guys take a lot from what she went through to win and the mental side of it. And it's not just physical strength.
Hmm.
Deadlift 270, probably whatever the equivalent brain is like 500 or something. And I think that's just I think that's probably the most under talked about, underrated side of the game that I've seen. I don't know if you see
Hmm.
the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's once you get to this level, and even the elite college players, um, everyone's got the physical skills. Everyone can hit a drive where they need to. They can hit an iron shot close. They can hit wedges close. They can make putts. And but it is the ability, you know, to adapt and just to really be able to, you know, figure it out when things aren't going well, or when you're on the road for 4 weeks in a row and you're lonely, you miss home, your game's not feeling good, you've missed 3 cuts in a row. Okay, what are you going to do that fourth week? How are you going to adjust and go play? Because at the end of the day, it is our job, and that can wear on you sometimes. But it's how can you handle everything getting thrown at you and being overwhelmed and still just go play golf.
Sure. Very wise words. Hope you guys all listening kind of take that to heart. So, Riley, if people want to follow you this year, kind of follow your progress, this year, and then as you go to the next level,
Hmm.
what's the best place for them to kind of keep up with you?
So obviously on epsontour.com, we got all our live scoring on there. And then um, my Instagram is Riley_Smyth. Getting better at posting on there a little bit more frequently.
To say now that you're winning, you got to get more
Yep.
social, post more money that way.
Yep. Yeah. Hasn't always been my greatest skill, but trying to get better at that. But Epson Tour is really good at being able to keep up with all of that. Their Instagram's really good at keeping up with what's going on with our schedule as well. So I think right now those are the two biggest ways.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll make sure we put that in the show notes for all you guys, so you can follow Riley, and I obviously on a personal look forward to the next time you're back up here. I know we got a big rematch that needs to occur. Maybe that'll go extra holes. I hope not. Based on your track record, I hope it just ends in 18. But Riley,
Chris, it might end at like 13 this go around.
wow, shots fired across the bow. So, hey Riley, thanks so much for coming on. I can't thank you enough, and everyone listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us here on the Golf and Spom Squad. And we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks for having me, Chris.